Alright, getting ready for round 3 with this skinny Karn list. So trying only 2 Karns. The Karn board is basically these 4. The relics are more for being brought in. They're not so much for a Karn target, they're for the Dragon Rage Channeler decks. Some concessions that this list makes. I've only got 3 Cavern in the 75, only got 1 Talaria West, only got 3 Arboreal Grazer, so those are all the cards that maybe I would like more copies of if I could, that this list is not able to find room for. This feels keepable, so I think I'll bottom a Titan. Maybe a land. Bottoming land feels awkward because I've got so much ramp in this hand. But if it's like a deck where I care about blocking, having the 2 creatures is nice. And if it's a deck with Inquisition of Kozilek, having 2 pieces of ramp to be better against discard is good. Yeah, so facing Inquisition of Kozilek, it's better that we had the 2 ramp pieces. I'm kind of fine with them taking the Dryad over the Grazer. Sometimes I feel like Grazer is actually even the better ramp piece in this matchup. Like, it just ramps us earlier, makes our turn sequencing a little less awkward. So we're against a Grixis, probably Death Shadow. Not exactly the matchup where you want to be mulling to 5. So interesting. Our opponent put a Dress Down into their graveyard, which is surprising to me because Dress Down is quite good in this matchup. I guess I'll play out the Saga. That's a pretty good draw. It starts giving us some blockers. It could potentially get us a Titan if we can draw a bounce land, get us a bit quicker to the Titan. Wouldn't mind drawing a Karn here. Karn would Karn would get us like a Tormod's Crypt, which would clear out this graveyard, which is nice against like shrinking the Channeler and making Unholy Heat less good. Okay, so I'm gonna Grazer here. With Grazer, I'll put in the Talaria West so that I can Cavern on Giant. And so now any land gets us a Primeval Titan next turn. I'm gonna keep the Grazer alive. I'm fine with taking 3 a turn. I mostly want the Grazer so that we don't die to like a huge Death Shadow. Like Death Shadow plus Dress Down could be dangerous. It also is like better if we draw a Karn to have an extra blocker to protect the Karn. Okay, so we get to play a Titan. There's pretty good chance that our opponent has a Dress Down. So the question is, do I want Amulet or Expedition Map? Probably Amulet. We might be punished for the only single Talaria West in our list this match. Yeah, this is not great because it also kills the construct, and they're probably gonna be able to unholy heat the Titan now. And that leaves us also with only 5 mana. Maybe I was just supposed to get map. Unholy heat. Yeah. Well, that's about the worst that could have gone. Karn is a good draw. I think the fact they used a Drown in the Lock on Grazer, though, probably means they just have another Drown in the Lock. But I guess we'll see. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're just dead. I don't see what series of draw steps could really get us out of this. Okay, so I'm going to go with what I was saying, where I'm going to cut all these sagas and expedition map and 2 amulets, I think. Bring in the relics and the 2 of the engineered explosives and some extra lands to make up for the lack of sagas. I think I'll try it like this. The pulling out the sagas is because when you have Saga in your deck, Alpine Moon is just such a beating against you, and when you don't have Saga in your deck, Alpine Moon is just a very bad card against you. So we're sort of, and with like a bunch of amulets, Kolaghan's Command becomes like a really powerful card. Without it, we don't really care. I'm kind of tempted to keep this hand. Like, I'm thinking about, like, being able to... Bojuka Bog is actually quite strong, and I can just pact on 3 for Dryad. And if they discard the pact, I'm still Bojuka Bogging and just keeping them off of pressure. It's a little bit weak to Ragavan. Maybe the average 6 is better. But, mostly what I want to do is make land drops in this matchup. And, Bojuka Bog is, a really good land drop against them. I'm gonna try keeping this. This is probably a questionable keep, but I'm gonna keep this on the theory that Bojuka Bog is a really, really strong card in this matchup. It helps us play around Drown in the Lock, it helps us play around Unholy Heat, it helps shrink their DRCs, it helps make Lurrus less of a threat, it helps make Kroxa less of a threat. There's just a lot of angles where having this Bojuka Bog is helping us. Yeah, I did mention that Ragavan was maybe a problem. Okay, this is interesting, actually, as far as what land I want to play here. because when I play the Azusa next turn, I would rather not have a trigger with my first land drop off of Azusa, because they can kill the Azusa in response. So keeping that in mind, maybe I bog them now. Yeah. I mean, and I might end up bouncing bog. Like, that's very possible. Like, it depends on if I draw an untapped land or not. Like, there's also really my draw step is going to change the sequencing of my next turn a lot. Slayer's Stronghold and Exile, so that's a good thing to track mentally, as we won't be able to haste any Titans. Okay, Thoughtseize. We'll see what they take. Probably Azusa. That tracks. Okay, so I think I'm gonna just Summoner's Pact for Dryad here, play Forest Castle with the Dryad, so that I am not dying to an Alpine Moon, and I'm getting closer to Valakut. If they attack with their creatures, I'm not gonna block, because that just screams Unholy Heat or Kolaghan's Command to me. But I think if I don't block their creatures, I think they actually will have trouble efficiently killing this Dryad. Maybe not. Maybe they can get land in graveyard, and maybe, like, they have something to get instant in graveyard. Maybe I block the Dragon's Rage Channeler. Let's see. No, because then they can get land instant in graveyard. So, yeah. So I just take this. I'm not really concerned about the 3 damage. I'm not concerned about the treasure token. I'm not concerned about them getting an Explorer or Relic all that much. I mostly just want Dryad to survive so that next turn I can get a Valakut trigger and kill the Dragon's Rage Channeler. I'm not really worried about the Ragavan. Is this Unholy Heat? Kolaghan's Command? Probably Kolaghan's Command. So, discard plus 2 damage to my face. Yeah. Discard Cavernous Souls. If they don't have Unholy Heat or Drown in the Lock here, I'm gonna bounce and then replay the Bajuka Bog, most likely. If I draw a land, though, that's not a bounce land, I'll use Valakut to kill the Death Shadow. Okay. Relic isn't a terrible draw. But I think I'm going to stick with the plan of just Bajuka Bogging them. I might be locked into blocking the Death Shadow here just because of Dress Down. But then if I block and they just fetch and then they Dress Down for our Titan, maybe I can't beat Dress Down. An attack with all 3 kind of signals Dress Down. So let's see. So they can make their shadow up to a 6. So if they have Dress Down, maybe I just let myself die to Dress Down. Maybe that's the world I live in. I can be taking 8 here. put me to 3, dead to Bolt. I don't think they have bolts, so I don't really want to play around Bolt. I don't think I can play around Dress Down. Yeah, I'll just block here and let them play their Dress Down and win. But this does play around like Kulligan's Command, Unholy Heat. Fetching probably means no Dress Down. Okay. If they just put Lurrus to hand and then play Lurrus, that's great for us. Because then we just win. Okay, I like how we sequenced this game. I think we played reasonably well here. So that worked out well. I think I'll run it back. I want to mention that hand that I kept, there's no way I would have kept it on the draw. Like, part of what I was playing with was the fact that on the play I felt like generally their deck's pretty slow. Now, they ended up having a pretty quick Death Shadow, which is kind of scary if they, like, get a Dress Down, for example, but, I don't know. I'll keep this. I'm keeping it on the theory that Explore is a good card, but that may not be enough. Okay. Well, no turn 1 creature probably plus Radiant Fountain probably means we've got a good amount of time, so we really just want to draw like another like ramp creature and explore. Well, there's some pressure. Oh, but that's a good draw. The question is, do I want to develop my mana or do I want to hold back the bounce land? I think I'm going to hold back the bounce land. It's better if I draw Amulet. I can play Amulet and Dryad in the same turn. Also, better against Alpine Moon, which, like, they don't have a lot of good Alpine Moon targets at the moment, and I don't really want to give them a good Alpine Moon target. Thoughtseize, pretty good here, getting our Dryad. So opponent takes Primeval Titan. That's very surprising to me, because our hand has redundancy of threats. What we don't have is redundancy of ramp. Do they have an... they have an Inquisition. Okay, that makes more sense now. Opponent's still only hitting us for 3 a turn, though, so we're not under immense pressure. Grazer's a great draw. Blocks the Ragavan quite well. Ramps us. So now our best draw is Castle Garenbrig. But really any land is a fine draw. Explore and Relic and Karn also good draws. Dryad is not a terrible draw. Okay, opponent has got themselves up to Delirium. Colossus out of our deck. Good to note that we no longer have Colossus as a packed target. Okay. So if we get to Titan next turn and it doesn't get dressed down, which are two big ifs, I think I want Bajuka Bog for sure. And then I don't know what I want for my second land. Maybe just like a Simic Growth Chamber bouncing the Radiant Fountain. I don't know. Maybe Urza Saga to just make blockers. Shadow is pretty scary. Okay, that's interesting. So we definitely want Bajuka Bog. Maybe Vesuva, bouncing Vesuva to hand. That makes our Dryad a pretty big threat next turn. If we have a next turn. Grazer was a really, really clutch draw this game. Okay, opponent digging. Let's see what they find. So if it comes back to our turn without them doing much of anything, I think what I'll do is I'll lead on Vesuva and Bajuka Bog to clear out our graveyard to clear the way for Dryad through Drown in the Loch. If there's a chance here that they go for an Unholy Heat on the Titan, just hoping that their Scries hit them into Delirium. Oh, Alpine Moon. Interesting. Okay. Well, we have a game on our hands. Opponent's got Delirium. I don't believe they are aware of the Dryad in our hand. I'm definitely going to block here. Take... I mean, this plays around Dress Down the best. It's a bit bad against Kolaghan's Command. But they don't have the mana. They can't go land Kolaghan's Command. Oh, but they'll get a treasure token. Okay, okay. So it's Kolaghan's Command versus Dress Down. What do I play around? Is there any other cards that I should be keeping in mind? Other than specifically Kolaghan's Command and Dress Down. me look at... So, they got a Mishra's Bauble, too. So they could be drawing into Gulligan's Command. I guess I'll block like this. Okay. We played around the correct card. Cool. So now any land wins us the game, as well as several other things. Okay, so I guess we'll lead on Relic, Crack, Relic. Okay, Explore is, I think, lethal. Even if we don't hit a land, which we did. But if we didn't hit a land, we could just play the Vesuva as a bounce land twice, and then as a Valakut on the third land drop. Yeah, so I like our sideboard plan that we did. I think the Relic, was quite good there. Like, we can imagine if we just drew like an Urza's Saga or an Amulet there, like that it would have just... Well, I guess Urza's Saga would have been fine because it would have been a land drop. But if we just drew like an Amulet there, it would have been really, really bad. And that's kind of how I feel about Amulet in this matchup, is once it gets into top deck wars, Amulet just doesn't matter. It's more about, can you resolve the Primeval Titan? And, yeah. So I guess I'll see everyone for the next round.